It is very obvious that the recent Epstein revelations is opening the minds of people all over the world to many shocking things that have been going on for a long, long time. There is also a group of people who are more well informed, and they are frustrated that there is still a second tranche of files that needs to be released. 3 million have already been released, and it's believed there's another 3 million. Now, I believe what is happening is a move of God to wake up many of those who are still asleep. Even though many have woken up, many are still asleep. Hence, this first section of files released, which is shocking as it is. But when the second half is released, it may even cause people to faint, or just hearts will stop. They'll drop dead because it is so, so bad. This is being staged to allow us all to try and get on the same level, or at least have an understanding, a far better understanding of what is going on in this world. Welcome to the channel. I trust that God is going to bless you mightily, and he will continue to bless you mightily. Today is the 10th of February 2026. So I want to address some of the things that have been released. Now, this is a video that ends in great news, a lot of good news. So it's not all doom and gloom. It's actually very heartening, very encouraging. But before I get there, I need to paint a bigger picture of a very dark world, but the light of God is shining upon it. So please bear with me, because I've only just been putting this together over the last 24 hours. I felt God was giving me a bit of a download, some insights into what is really happening, so that you can be informed and take heart from this. Must just have a drink of herb tea and cayenne pepper. Blow my head off. Although I think the heat out here blows my head off anyway. So, Epstein revelations. Try and follow my notes. So, a lot of things are coming out, and people are getting this sense that we are living in a world which is actually run by paedophiles. As difficult as that might be to hear, and as almost unbelievable as that may be, it is becoming more and more obvious that this is the case, especially in the Western world, but I suspect it encompasses the whole world. And we're seeing a lot of shaking in the political realm. We're seeing what's currently happening in the United Kingdom, and then Japan just called a snap election, and I think that's going to turn out very good. And what's happening is the world is being turned upside down. It's been dark for a long, long time, and now it's been turned and pointed towards the light. Now, in Luke chapter 12, verses 2 and 3, it says, "Nothing that is hidden will not be revealed. Everything that's in the dark will be brought out into the light." And that is what you're seeing happening. And this is what's making a lot of people very uncomfortable. And if you didn't understand what's going on, you'll think that everything is bad because of the amount of bad things you're seeing. But it's not bad, and it is bad. It's bad because it's been hidden for such a long time. But God is bringing it to the surface. He's bringing it into the light so it can be fully exposed and no longer hidden. And he's dealing with a lot of the wicked, even as I speak right this very second. So, A world run by paedophiles. Satanic sacrifices and rituals. Many people can't get their head around such things and believe there is no way this is really happening in governments, in business, entertainment, in all spheres of society, even down to local council. Yes, friend, that's how deep it goes. But the evidence is overwhelming. You can't shy away from this anymore. There's many other people speaking about these things. I am not the only one, and I've not been the only one that's been talking about this for a number of years. But now maybe there's more and more people who are quite prepared to listen because they're seeing things with their own eyes that they cannot explain otherwise. You've got a glut of human and child trafficking, and you've no doubt heard the stories about how there is tunnels all over the world where down below there's all sorts of experimentation. There's children being born in these tunnels. They never see the light of day. There's experimentation taking place upon them. They're being moved from tunnel to tunnel and trafficked for the purposes of sex and sacrificial rituals, satanic rituals, and it just gets so bad. I believe we'll see a lot more of this revealed in the second release of Epstein. But certainly this first release is there are emails in there which talk about cannibalism, the eating of human flesh. So that's quite deep and that's quite bad, but that's there. Pizzagate is rising up again, and that's mentioned in these things. People may know about frazzle drip. If you don't know about frazzle drip, then just Google it and look it up. These things are very real, and it's not located or isolated to one certain location. This is global, friends, and you need to understand that. God is trying to get our attention. And for many years, it's been slow, gentle, so that we can get prepared. But a lot of people still refuse to listen to this. This is why things are moving quicker and quicker, and the information is coming out now like a tsunami. And we need to pay attention, friends. There's nothing to fear, but we have to be informed because God is going to use people like you when everything blows open. He's going to use you and I to bring calm and peace to people that just have kept their eyes closed, stuck their head in the sand, and refuse to listen. They're going to be forced to listen at some point, and that's why God will use you and I. So, as I said, there's cannibalism. There's a lot of financial institutions heavily involved with the satanic sacrifices, human trafficking, child trafficking, all this sort of stuff. And that's why the financial system is going to collapse. And you're seeing that happen now before your very eyes. A number of big banks have already went, and there's quite a number that are on the brink. And you will see them fall, and you'll see the whole financial system change. And I've talked about this before quite a number of times, so I'm not going to go really in that direction. I'm just trying to paint a big picture here. Now, we've recently heard about the Clintons and how they've been ordered to appear before Congress and give testimony. And they held off for quite a long time. But now it's at a stage where they have agreed to appear. Now, some of you might have heard in the past, a lot of people have likened Bill and Hillary Clinton to Ahab and Jezebel. And there is a lot in that. But if you think of the things that Bill Clinton has been accused of, allegedly, the drug running from a long, long time ago, right back to his days when he was in Arkansas, Little Rock. There's a lot of stories about planes coming in, the CIA being involved in bringing huge amounts of terrible drugs into this country. He certainly has been involved in a number of sex scandals that have been well publicised over the years. So there's all, and he's one of the people that's visited Epstein Island quite a number of times, as well as many others. So, as bad as the things that Bill Clinton has gotten himself involved in, it does appear there is strong evidence that Hillary has been involved in far worse. Hence, this Jezebel title she's been given. And you'll have heard of the Jezebel spirit, because one thing we need to understand, friends, see, we can point at Bill, we can point at Hillary, we can point at the Obamas, we can point at so many people. But if you don't understand this is spiritual, you will never grasp properly what is going on. You'll only have a small portion of the picture. You must understand this goes back thousands of years, friends. Yes, thousands of years, not just 10, 20, 30, 40 years. This goes back thousands of years. Let's talk about the drugs again. As we know, America was flooded, and it has been flooded, and possibly some still getting in with some horrific drugs. But this has happened all over Europe. It's happened over many countries in the world. And we now have an epidemic, a pandemic of drug addiction, drug abuse, cheap booze, to the point that our nations are now flooded with people living on the streets completely out of their heads, many dangerous and violent people. And that's how, see, they've been created. This is what the drink and drugs has done to them. Also deliberately kept in poverty, so there's no hope. So they seek peace, they seek happiness in an alternative universe dimension, if you like, through the taking of drink and drugs. And it's got so bad that you've now even got cities within cities, tent cities within cities. It's just a mass of drug addicts, alcoholics, sexual immorality running rampant, disease running rampant, violence, everything you can think of. And it has affected our nations in a terrible way. And that's before even talking about the immigration problem, which has also been engineered all over the world. It's a deliberate thing. So before we look a little bit more at maybe the satanic sacrifices and stuff like that, I want us to understand this goes back to the very beginning. Let me just read you a verse from Genesis chapter 1. It's Genesis 1, chapter 28. So let me just get there. Okay. I'll go to 27. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him, male and female. In his own image, in the image of God, he created him. He created them. Then God blessed them, and God said to them, be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it. Have dominion over the fish of the sea. So everything was perfect right at the beginning. Right at the very beginning, everything was absolutely perfect. The garden that Adam and Eve were given It would have been free from GMO, herbicides, pesticides, all the stuff that we see today. It was perfect for food and for medicine. But also Adam and Eve themselves were created perfect, if you like. They had free will, but they were completely innocent. Often we think of Adam and Eve in a certain way, but I want to put this to you. Adam was created from the dust, and from what we can gather, it's like he was created as a adult, or certainly a young man. Same with Eve, who came from the side of Adam. They were created completely innocent. They were absolutely innocent, to the point they had no problem walking about naked. They didn't have any idea about anything. They were just pure in their thought. But right at the beginning, the serpent was there. If we read the Genesis narrative, we can see Adam and Eve being created, being birthed, if you like. Think about that term, birthed. And they were innocent. Underline that term. Given the garden, perfect garden, perfect for everything. And then it's not very long. We get into Genesis chapter 3, and then the serpent turns up. So I don't know exactly how long it was between the creation of Adam and Eve and then the turning up of Satan, but I suspect it wasn't long. He was right there at the beginning. Now, think about this. If you wanted to completely pollute and corrupt a generation, how would you go about it? Well, we hear the stories like the education has been subverted and you teach children now some terrible things. You have television programs which is subliminally programming people that watch it, brainwashing them, MK Ultra, all this sort of stuff. But I'd like to take it back a little bit further. Satan was there basically at the birth of Adam and Eve. When a human is conceived, they can understand from within the womb. They understand many things and they sense many things, and formation begins not just of the body, but things that can affect your character, things that can affect your behaviour and how you will move forward in the future when you're born. A lot of drug addicts, and we know that can physically affect an unborn child. But living in a broken home, can lead to a lot of violence and shouting and arguments. That also affects the unborn child. They may not realise it at the time, and it may actually take years later. You hear all these stories now of people visiting psychiatrists and all this sort of stuff and being taken back to their youth to see what caused all the problems that you're suffering now, all this trauma that you've got. Satan was there at your birth. He wasn't just there at the beginning with Adam and Eve. He was there when you were conceived. And he was already doing everything he possibly could to damage you. Now, your parents might not have ended up drug addicts or alcoholics, but we're all broken. And many of us don't realise just how badly broken all of us are. And all of us do not escape. We are affected in so many ways, even by things that are seemingly innocent, which are spoken to us. It affects us. And here we are today with a very, very, very broken world. This generation has been completely polluted and corrupted. But it's not just this generation, it's previous. But because of the way society has progressed and things are far worse now, the damage to this generation is far worse. It's far reaching, it's worldwide, and it has literally left no one untouched. Adam and Eve lost their innocence very quickly. You and I lost our innocence very, very quickly. It's not a coincidence that in the last 2 or 3 weeks, so many people are speaking to me, and the conversation always goes back to their childhood and things that have happened which have caused them varying degrees of trauma, maybe from mild trauma to some severe trauma. It is not a coincidence. At one stage, it was almost like daily. I was having conversations, and these things were always coming out, and it was always about childhood. Hence, why I'm saying to you, Satan was there at the beginning for all of us, either him or his demons. He's not God, so he can't be everywhere at once. But evil was present right at the beginning, affecting you, and your parents had already been affected in some way. Like I say, in some cases it might be very mild. But we were all polluted in one way or another. And I believe the reason this is all coming to light now, and it was the Epstein files that really exploded and is bringing everything out. Everything that's hidden in the darkness is now coming into the light. I believe the reason so many people are going back to their childhood, including myself, thinking about many, many things that I'd completely forgotten about. God is doing this. He's doing a deep work in us. If you've seen previous videos that I've done, one is titled Prepare to Enter the Fiery Furnace. Another is called The Purified Bride. If you haven't seen them, go and have a look at them. I'm not trying to promote my videos. I'm just trying to, I don't want to speak too much, but I want to point you to other information. But there's many other people out there. And if you're getting your information from them, then fantastic. At the end of the day, I just want people to know what's going on. But God is doing this deep, deep work inside all of us. I've pointed out before, he's not just exposing the darkness in government and business and huge companies and institutions. He's taken it right down to the finite level. And he's doing a work in us as well. He's bringing things out, darkness inside ourselves, things that have affected us. He's doing that to purify us as we move into what I believe is going to be the end times church. Excuse me. More cayenne pepper required. Oh, burns your throat, friends. Fiery furnace. So, yeah, I'm trying to stick to my notes because I've got a habit of ranting. But do you see the picture? How big this is and how God's working in it? This is all good news, friends. It is good news, even though it can be very painful. And I can tell you it is very painful for a lot of people. But we need this healing. And that is something that I'm going to talk about in just a moment. It's a difficult thing to talk about all these things, but it always seems to be the children that are getting targeted. And like I say, it makes sense. Satan's right there at the beginning, targeting the children, the unborn. That's why abortion came about. And for those that are born They're born into a very broken world, and they end up very broken themselves. The pollution of our food as well. It's not just that it makes us sick, it dumbs you down that you can't think straight. It breaks the connection to God. Many people can't sit still for more than a few seconds. I find myself like that, and I've been like this for years. Sitting in front of a video and speaking, it's quite alien. I want to get up and jump around, and I've got a million things going through my head. I find it very difficult to sit still, and I know that's the case for many people. This has come through our food, the pharmaceutical industry, the things that we've been given, which have damaged us beyond imagination. So I'm painting a picture of a very dark world where this has all been exposed, a bunch of paedophiles involved in so much corruption, financial corruption, fraud, deception, satanic rituals, satanic sacrifices, unfortunately, of many children have lost their lives due to these things. But somebody has to be held accountable, and that's why God's bringing it out into the open. It cannot be swept under the carpet any longer. We have to be confronted with the truth of what has happened to us. If we don't face it, we cannot be fully healed, friends. Which brings me on to health. You see, God is going to heal you. This is the really good news I'm reaching now. God is going to heal you. Many of us are sick. We've got all sorts of ailments, diseases, conditions, and we cry out to God, God, heal me, heal me, heal me. And I absolutely believe He will, because of where we're going. We're on a journey and we need good health. But what some of us maybe not think about, because we're physical beings, but we're also spiritual beings, but we tend to focus more on the physical. Hence, we look on the physical ailments that we have. But God is not just interested in healing you physically. I believe what will happen first is the mental, the spiritual, the emotional healing that we all need. Whether you realize that or not, we all need mental, emotional, spiritual healing. The soul, the spirit needs healed. It's been polluted, it's been corrupted, it's been twisted in so many different ways. It needs to be dealt with. And very often, what you'll find is when you receive that type of healing, it manifests in healing of physical ailments as well. A lot of our ailments can come from mental anguish and grief, emotional turmoil. Returning to pure food as well, and I often call this place out here in Indonesia, I call it God's garden. I've never seen anything like it. Every day we are drinking and eating some of the best tasting and unpolluted food you'll ever come across on earth. We're getting a lot of stuff from the rainforests where it's not been tainted. And my wife makes many, many healthy drinks. And it's got a huge benefit. That's what it should have been like in the Garden of Eden before the fall. Now, I'm not saying this place is anything as good as the Garden of Eden because we live in a fallen world, but I can tell you what's out here is far superior to what you're getting in the West. I can absolutely guarantee you that. And I see it manifested in the lives of the locals as well, even though they're poor, many in poverty. Their health is far superior. One time we had a guide in the rainforests in Sulawesi, and our guide was a woman, at least 80 plus years of age. And the terrain that we were going across was very difficult, sometimes so steep it was almost like straight down, like going off a cliff. And she was up and down those not cliffs, but embankments, whatever you want to call them. She was like a gazelle. Her footing was perfect, her balance was perfect. In fact, one time, that's when I took a giant tumble and I thought I was going to be severely damaged, but God protected me. But what I'm saying is, their health is great. And what you'll find out here as well is a lot of people's teeth is in far better condition because they don't eat the garbage, sugar infested foods, fast foods that we get in the West. And there's also been a lot of stories as well coming out as well going into so going back to the satanic sacrifices and rituals of the cannibalism, the eating of humans, and people finding this children's teeth in so many fast food joints, but not just fast food joints, processed food, tinned foods, things like that. This is dark, friends, but God is going to heal you. I am absolutely confident of that. And then I'll finish on the wealth transfer. This is not the prosperity gospel. What is the wealth transfer? It's a return of what has already been stolen from you. It's been stolen, and you've been stolen from in so many ways that it might shock you. It'll shock you a lot when you actually discover what has been stolen from you, how they took it, and how you thought it was legitimate. But no, God's going to restore that, and He's going to give you compensation on top of that. Why? It's for the purposes of the kingdom of God, of reaching out to people with the gospel. God's going to take some of you to places maybe far, far away. It's going to take finance to get you there, to set up your ministry, to do whatever needs to be done. It's a wealth transfer for the purposes of God and His calling on your life. So it's not so that you can live like a king and do whatever you want. So just sweep aside the prosperity gospel. But this is the big picture that I'm trying to give you. A very dark world that looks bad to a lot of people, but light is being shone into the deepest, darkest recesses, which is intended to ultimately free you and me totally from these wicked people. And they will be removed, friends. They will absolutely be removed. I'll finish by saying, go to the book of Proverbs and read chapter 10. And then, of course, this is the 10th of February, and I read it this morning. There's actually quite a number of scriptures in there which speak directly into the day in which we live about what's going to happen to the wicked and what happens to the righteous. God said He would restore the years that the locusts have eaten. Your whole life's been stolen from you. Only God can restore the years that the locusts have eaten. And I'm telling you, friends, and hold me to it, God is going to restore the years that the locusts have eaten. What He is going to do is way beyond what you and I can think. We think of healing, it's great. We think of wealth, great. No, it goes way, way, way beyond that. That's why I said at the beginning, this video ends in very good news. It's very bad news for the wicked. Still keep praying for them. Some may turn. But it's very bad for those that choose to stay doing what they're doing. But it is incredibly good news for you. God has got you on a mission. Before He fully releases you into that mission, He is going to heal you. And He is going to give you all the resources you need to fulfill your mission. So, friends, at the end of the day, God always brings good from bad, and it is very good news for you and me. And I'm going to finish there. God bless you all, and I trust that He will absolutely pour an abundance of His grace, mercy, love, and power into your life, and you will see it very, very clearly. You will really have a sense of a strong presence of the Holy Spirit in your life, because that's also going to happen. So, bye bye for now, and until next time, God bless you all. Bye bye.